Hi guys, a couple of days ago I put out a video talking about the potential of STEEMIT and how I believed it is going to grow into a $500 billion powerhouse. Now obviously that video triggered quite a few inquiries and I got quite a few comments in the comments on STEEMIT, but also I got some emails and phone calls. And some of the questions that were asked was for me to expand on the video. And people obviously was taken back by the prediction, but also the support that I got was phenomenal. And it's been an amazing 24 hours since the video went out a couple of days ago. What I wanted to do today was to take you through what I believe is a rigged system. And when I say a system, I don't mean the STEEMIT system, far from it, that's the complete opposite. What I want to talk about is the complete system, the global financial system. And this is really something that, from what I've been talking to people over the last 5 years, 6 years, is that very few actually know it's a rigged system. And what I want to talk about is effectively the whole system and what actually is happening, and what I believe is the inevitable of the collapse of the system. Now, in order to understand the system, you have to really go back to the fractional banking and how banking is actually set up. And obviously, without going into the detail, you know, for every dollar that goes into your account, you know, from wages or from money you earn, or actually gets loaned out 9 times, 10 times. So effectively, your dollar in your account that you have in your account is actually borrowed into existence. Now, fractional banking is something that really you have to understand the whole system. So people who ask me, you know, what do I look at? What do I home in on? Well, the first of all that I tell people is switch off the news, switch off the mainstream news, because you have to see that the mainstream garbage, the mainstream news that is spurted out, is actually part of the system. So really, to understand the whole system, switch off the news and really switch on to the likes of Max Kaiser, Jim Rickards. You know, these are the sorts of people that you want to be listening to. Educate yourself about the actual system, and take what is actually off the news. Do what I do. I watch the news, not for the news, but I watch the news to understand what is actually being sold out to the masses. And if you actually think of the news as the complete opposite to what the reality is, that'll give you an idea of what actually is going on. So the mainstream news is a big part of it. Fractional banking is a big part of it. And once you get into the fractional banking and the way that the finances is set up, it's a debt system. You know, the whole global financial system is a debt-based system. Once you understand the fractional reserve, you'll understand obviously where the debt fits in. And the biggest problem, and it's the problem that I spoke to Max Kaiser last year. Max contacted me in the December 2015, and invited me onto the Kaiser report. He'd seen some of my work on Twitter, and he invited me on to talk about debt. And it wasn't until I got to the studio and I brought a model with me of the derivatives. Max Kaiser gets it. Stacey, Herbert, Max, they absolutely get it, 100% get it. And the moment I brought the model out, pre going into the studio, it was like within seconds, Max got the three balls, you know, the 2000, the 2008, and where we are now. So if you get a chance, I'll put a link in the blog if you've not seen it. But really, if you understand the fractional banking system, the debt-based system, the derivative system, you know, the way that the derivatives is leveraging everything in the complete opposite direction to what reality is. These derivatives are a forward-looking negative bet of something that's going to happen in the future, and these have to be closed off. You know, if you sell something that you do not own on a promise that you'll buy it back, and you send the price in the opposite direction, using the fractional reserve funds, then eventually, you know, you're going to get to a situation where the fractional reserve funds are going to dry out, the debt isn't going to be paid off, and then all of a sudden you're sat on a negative bet. So you can see where the problem's going to be. You know, the problem's going to lie when all of a sudden the penny drops with people, and this is something that I've been talking about probably for the best part of 10 years, really. When the crash happened in 2008, fortunately for me, I could see what was happening, and I sold a substantial portfolio, to the amazement of a lot of people. And they said, well, why have you done that? You know, why did you do that? And I said, well, this is it. You know, this is a massive, massive problem. This is a big, big, big problem. And at the same time, I was then tying the technology, the internet, you know, the way that the internet had come up through the 80s, the way that people started to share. You know, we started on the chat rooms in the 80s, and then we got onto mobile phone communication, and then we got onto the social media. Now, everything really from the very early start of 2001 really was the start of the end of the process, and since then it's just been a conditioned, controlled demolition as we've actually gone through time now. And my concern is what we're actually witnessing now with cryptography and with the blockchain and the blockchain technology. You can't fudge blockchain. You can't manipulate cryptography. It's either is right or it isn't. And of course, with everything else, with fractional reserve, with debt-based systems, with derivatives, you can manipulate it. You know, you can borrow things, you can promise things, you can sell something you don't own. But you go to a cryptography system where the actual system, the blockchain, the distributed digital ledger, that is the system that determines what is right. Whether you want it to be right or not, it is irrelevant. You know, it's a truth-based system that is effectively going to, you know, once you actually spread that right across the system, you know, across news, across finance, across debt, across derivatives, insurance, you know, you take it right across everything that has been manipulated over the last 30 to 40 years. My God, that's a problem. And you can see what is happening. When I did the video a couple of days ago, and I was talking about cryptography and the way that capital markets are going to be geared on cryptography. You know, at the moment, the cryptocurrency market is worth 100 billion. What's 100 billion? What's 100 billion when you've got a 1.5 quadrillion negative bet? What's 1 billion when you've got an asset value of 275 billion based on debt? It's nothing. I mentioned it before. It's pocket change. It's loose change, and what you'll find over the next. And I think I said it last time. You know, it's going to be very fast, and it's not that the system that is being introduced is going to be, you know, better than the previous system. It's going to be right. That's the problem. So the previous system, the one that we're in now, the garbage media, the garbage fractional banking, the garbage debt-based system, the garbage derivatives, this has all got to come to an end. And you can't suddenly say, oh, well, you know, we've got a 1.5 quadrillion negative bet and it was wrong, but don't worry about it, we'll sort it out. How? How do you sort something like that out? You can't. You've just got to accept that what the result is going to be. And I mentioned to Max in last year in 2016, I see, and I think it's pretty clear now that most people see that the derivatives are going to be put onto the blockchain, and they're going to be put onto the blockchain because I don't care what people say, or you know, I'd be more than happy to be challenged if there's any economic experts out there who want to challenge me. I'd be more than happy to challenge. The challenge is there is not one person in the world smart enough to calculate the systemic risk of a failure across the derivatives book. Because what you've got various different institutions taking various different sides of the bet. There's not one system that would actually say, under a certain circumstance, if this happened, this is the result. No, blockchain will do that. Because what blockchain will do, it'll align all these bets. And then eventually the system, the blockchain system, will determine the systemic risk. So you'll be able to put various different modelling, you know, under circumstances, what would happen if this happened, or what would the result be? So when people talk about the system, they really need to understand that it's not just, you know, the financial system, it's the system, and it's the system that has been around, well, really from the 70s, really, you know. Garbage mainstream, garbage fractional banking, garbage debt, garbage derivatives. This has all got to be unwound, and blockchain technology is about to do it. So hopefully that'll fit in a few bits and pieces. It adds on to what I talked about a couple of days ago. And hope you guys are having a good time. Steam on, and speak to you soon. Cheers, guys.